Shalom, shalom. First thing first, I want to give all praises, glory, honor, and power that's due to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shah, Ba'ashem, Kakadash. Double honor to the elders and the apostles at Great Millstone, those who rule well and who I learned this truth from. Salutation to the brothers stiffly pushing this one truth in all sincerity and diligence, risking both your lives and freedoms to do so. Shalom to the rest of the elect as we all await the second Exodus coming quickly by the hands of Lord Yahweh Shah. This is your brother Kakabar. All right, and I want to be doing this lesson going into the thorns in the flesh. All right, that we all have, tailor-made thorns in the flesh. All right, that are ultimately designed to make or break you. All right, ultimately, these things we deal with is designed to make or break you, man, because that's the condition of the battle. Okay, as scriptures say, that man that is born upon the earth shall fight. Okay, because we are in hell. We can't forget that this is hell, man. And ultimately we have these thorns in the flesh to where we have to fight against those things, man. Okay, because if we was perfect, we kept the laws perfectly, kept Shabbat 100%, we wore 100%, no mixed garments, we didn't go off, we knew all the breakdowns perfectly. Okay, we was the best teachers. Then where would the fight be in that, man? Where would the fight be in that? Okay, but that's why we had these thorns in the flesh. All right, ultimately tailor-made to each individual brother and sister in this thing that keeps us in that humility, that humble state of mind, and understanding why we need the Lord. Okay, why we need Yahweh Shah. All right, to come deliver us, from these bodies, this flesh. Okay, and to give us that upgrade, man. Okay, this is why we had these thorns, because really, and we're going to grab it in a moment, but, the thorns in the flesh is designed to keep you from being proud. Just because the Lord gave us this wisdom, all right, this knowledge, and then you may have moments where you feel like you're doing everything right, which we know scriptures say we can never go far enough, all right, that we can always do more, but sometimes you may feel like you kind of checking off the boxes, but, the Most High, gives us these thorns in the flesh, all right, to humble us, all right, to realize like, yeah, man, don't get proud, okay, and that's wherein Satan comes in, to fight, to ultimately to hit us with those darts, man. All right, but anyways, let's jump into this, and it won't be too long, but this is 2 Corinthians 12:6. All right, as the Apostle Paul, it says, for though I would desire to glory, I shall not be a fool, for I will say the truth, but now I forbear, lest any man should think of me above that which he seeth me to be, or that he heareth of me. Okay, and I want to grab it in the NLT, all right, as well. Verse 6, 2 Corinthians 12:6, it says, if I wanted to boast, I would be no fool in doing so, because I would be telling the truth. But I won't do it because I don't want anyone to give me credit beyond what they can see in my life or hear my message, even though I have received such wonderful revelations from the Most High. So to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh, a messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. Yeah, meaning what? You fall. Meaning that we had thorns in the flesh, these things designed to keep you in that humble state of mind, because we're in the flesh, man. Though our spirit wants to be perfect, there's things in the flesh that's, like I said, tailor-made to each individual brother, to where it is designed like that to keep you humble. Because when you stay in that humble, contrite spirit, you're able to continue to grow. You're able for the Lord to continue dealing with you, man. So really, it's a blessing. It don't feel like that in the moments, these thorns, it don't feel like that, but really it's a blessing, because if you became proud, and you go, well, because the Most High gave you this breakdown or this revelation, or, you had a vision of this and that, and you became proud, you wouldn't even feel like you need the Lord. You're like, I got it. I know I'm gonna make it. I know I'm of the elect 100%. I know that, X, Y, and Z, and you become proud. And hey, we know what happens to a proud man. You become a base, man. So really, when with the Lord giving us these thorns, really we have to be grateful for that. That's why it makes sense when scriptures say, be cheerful, when you're reduced to a lower state, roughly paraphrasing, man. Because when you in that lower state, the Lord, Yahweh Shai, is able to sup with you, man. Okay, a humble, lowly man, because now you're like, well, shit, man. You realize you do need the Lord. We realize we ain't shit, at the end of the day. So that's why we know we need the Lord, man. But it says, so to keep me from becoming proud, I was given a thorn in my flesh. And that's everybody, man. A messenger from Satan to torment me and keep me from becoming proud. Yeah, like I mentioned, you go off, man. You do certain things that, we have, that we deal with, and you may, be able to put up a fight, and resist it, and feel like you got your armor up, but then there may be a chink in your armor, and lo and behold, that's whenever that dart pierced through, man. You see, and you got to look at it as a moment of humbling, really a moment of growth, a moment of growth, because the Lord is still dealing, man. All right. Verse 8, it says, three different times I begged the Lord to take it away. And we know 3 goes into understanding. So that's spiritual, 3 goes into understanding, man. It says 3 different times I begged the Lord to take it away. Each time he said, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. So now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Hamashiach can work through me. So the Lord works best in weaknesses, works best in weakness. Why? Because again, the sacrifices the Lord requires are a broken spirit and a contrite heart, man. So sometimes you wonder, like, why the hell did I, have to get broken down or brought low, and whatever, you know what I'm saying? And then you understand why. Okay, because that, the Lord continues to work with you, man. And that's why I said, you either got to allow your thorn in the flesh, or thorns, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, these battles to either make or break you, man. Because you could get pierced with them darts, and have those thorns in the flesh cause you to give up. You know what I'm saying? You could get weak and say, I don't want to fight no more, man. Whole time not realizing that you've gained all that experience from each time you got back up and you kept going. You would have been good if you got up and kept going, man. But you're gonna let this moment, dictate the rest of your walk, and that's what a lot of guys do, man. That's why scriptures say, let not your sins weigh you down. Let not your iniquities lift up themselves, man. Okay? Because the Lord, he got us in his flesh for a reason at this particular time, man. And we got thorns in the flesh because we designed to go off from time to time, man. As much as we hate it, we hate it, and we are to try our best to offend less. That is true. But again, we're in the flesh. It's going to happen, man. And this in that moment of weakness, that's when you realize, that's when you're like, okay, man, I definitely need the Lord. You try to seek him more. You do what you got to do. It says, my grace is all you need. My power works best in weakness. Okay. And that's beautiful, because we're going to be saved by what? By grace and by our faith, whereby we believe, man. Okay. So this is bigger than us, man. You can't lay a charge against yourself. Scripture said, who can lay a charge against the Most High's elect? You can't lay a charge against yourself, man. So you got to keep going and allow that moment to be a lesson. Okay. To build on the other lessons you've already learned, and you should really be able to see that growth within yourself, man. It says, so now I am glad to boast about my weaknesses so that the power of Hamashiach can work through me. That's why I take pleasure in my weaknesses and in the insults, hardships, persecutions, and troubles that I suffer for Hamashiach. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Okay? Because you made strong through the Lord, man. Because you seek him and ultimately, you depend on him and rely on him to continue supping with you, man. To get you through that shit, All right. but I wanted to grab the definition because it says the messenger of Satan to buffet me, which really goes into to fight. Okay, it's the Greek kolaphizo. It says to strike with the fist. See, to give one a blow with the fist. So is Satan actually down here physically beating the shit out of us? No, man. But ultimately, it's these spiritual attacks, because that's precisely what these thorns in the flesh are. It's a buffet, meaning it's an attack, to strike with the fist, to give one a blow with the fist, to maltreat, treat with violence and contumely. Okay, so that's why scriptures say this is the condition of the battle, that man that is born upon the earth shall fight. Because we battling this shit, man, and it's either you get in a fight, you lose, and you just fucking throw in the flag, or you get in a fight and you learn, man. Now you learn how to move different. You work on your footwork. You work on your jab. You work on you know what certain things to look out for. See, so you've actually improved. See, that's what it's designed to do. Okay, and like I said, it's it's designed to either make or break you, man. But when you understand these L's we catch as lessons, as moments to where it can be a lesson for you to grow through the Lord, then you able to deal with it better, man. Okay, that's why Paul, he sought the Lord 3 times, which just goes into understanding, and he was able to understand. Okay, well now through through my weaknesses, the Lord is able to deal with me and to get me through that shit, man. You see, but that's really the point on that. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and close out. I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shah Bashem Rakakadash DTAY Baba Ball. Shalom.